Hey, my name is Lauren. My daughter, she got me this necklace. It's a dragonfly. And the reason she got it for me is she calls me the queen of transformation. And it's true. I'm an energy healer, a shadow work coach. And there is a time right now on the planet where so many of us are undergoing a very deep transformation. So I decided I would make a channel and just show up for anyone who needs assistance and going into the dark. You see, both my sun and my ascendant are in the sign of Libra, and my ascendant, my rising sign, is conjunct Pluto. And the reason that's important is when you are undergoing any state of transformation, it's critical for you to first know the foundational energy that you carry with you throughout this world. And you can do so by taking a look at your natal chart and taking a look at your human design chart. Now, I am a certified astrologer. However, I am not certified in human design. I just know enough of human design to give you some good pointers and some good tips, and I can help you to make sense a little bit of the human design chart, because what my particular interest has been is that it truly helps you to understand how your energy shows up, how your auric field shows up, which is the space energetically around you. And it really helps you to lean into your nervous system. So as an energy healer, I'm very familiar with the chakra system, and my particular gift happens that I am able to channel, I'm able to activate a portal almost of liminal space for other people. And as a healer, that is my gift that I bring, is to help others by carrying the light into dark spaces. And that's where that double Libra signature comes in. You see, the sign of Libra, it just so happens that it takes place just after fall equinox. That's when we move into the sign of Libra. And what that signifies is that we are entering the dark of the dark in regards to the light of the annual solar year. And energy, you see, is a language. We're speaking a language of energy. And so the basis of that language is understood in light and the absence of light, which is why the symbol of the yin and the yang is so incredibly potent, because what it also symbolizes, in my humble opinion, is that balance that we're all carrying with us, that polarity that we carry through life, which is our consciousness, what is in the light of our awareness, mixed with all of those shadow or unconscious aspects of self that we're also carrying with us. And so within the symbolism of the yin and the yang, you can see within the dark sphere that small light. And that's kind of what I'm speaking to when we begin to speak about transformation and change. What we're doing is we're taking a light, the light of our awareness, the light of our heart space, the light of our consciousness, and we're moving into the darker spaces, or the more shadowy spaces within our subconscious mind. And it allows us then to begin to bring that darkness, or bring that subconscious shadowy aspect that can sometimes control us in ways that we don't intend it to, through unconscious programming, patterns, repeated patterns, getting stuck in loops and in cycles that sort of serve as obstacles towards transformation and change and growth. And when we bring the light into those spaces, we're able to begin to overcome those obstacles. We're able to begin to clear the shadow and make space to hold the polarity of the all, because we're always carrying both the light and the dark, both the higher expressions of self and some of our lower, or you could also call that unconscious expressions of self, with us. And when we're seeking change and transformation, we're typically coming from a space of uncomfortability. It's uncomfortable when we want to change something, and then the process of change is also uncomfortable. It requires growth. It requires intentionality that we must bring to the table. And it also requires courage. It requires the courage to continue to do the work, despite the fact that it's unpleasant, and many times we are also going to be navigating kind of a heightened state within our own nervous system. And so what that means is that our trauma triggers are present. Our fight, our flight, our freeze responses are often at the forefront when we're navigating a process of change. So that process of change is typically instigated when we become too uncomfortable, or we are kind of forced or pushed, maybe is a better word, pushed by the universe, pushed by circumstances to do something, right? So that process usually, 9 times out of 10 in my coaching practice, has been when someone themselves becomes too uncomfortable with the current circumstances in some particular aspect of their life. And so because that uncomfortability has grown to a certain extent, it's actually more comfortable to begin to make the changes, to take the action steps that are needed to be brave, to be courageous. And then again, also, there are a large number of people who are also coming into that process, coming into this type of work because circumstances have simply pushed them into the need to do so. There's no longer an option but to confront a certain aspect or element of self or of life. And that's when we begin the work. So I invite you, if you are interested in learning more about energy healing and what you can do on your own to navigate the process of change, growth, and transformation at a deeper soul level. Because I will be talking to you very much so about frequency and divine frequency, which I translate into the divine aspect of yourself, of your soul aspect of self. And that is always ever connected into whatever your preferred word is. I choose the frequency of God. But whether that is the universe, whether that is source, whatever is your preferred descriptor for the actual origination point of all that is. And that's what we're referring to. We're referring to that. So for me, that is God. So I will be referring to it as that. But I thank you for listening. I thank you, and I hope that you will like, share, and subscribe and check out this content. I am a former social worker who dove into energy healing when I began to recognize, I myself had all of my Reiki attunements, and I never thought that I would use them professionally at the time that I got them. It was a long time ago when I was still in college. I was still a student when that occurred. But as it will, your spiritual journey unfolds naturally, and mine began to unfold. And I really was curious, not only for my clients, but also for my own self, how to clear some of those older shadows, that older unconscious material that tends to show up as patterns. And I began to see through clairaudience, through intuitive knowing, I began to see how energy is always tracing back to, most oftentimes, wounding from childhood. And sometimes it's even further than that, and it's something I refer to as ancestral wounding or ancestral trauma, which means that it's been passed through your family from generation to generation, through caregivers, through behavioral or energetic patterns that tend to show up within the family structure, within individuals in that family structure, such as an example of this that I would often see is the patterns of addiction. There would be oftentimes an addictive pattern that would show up in every generation of the same family structure. And when you're working with children and families like I was, we would often create these very intricate family trees to look into what was going on and what is the root cause of the trauma that's surfacing, which in my interpretation was always the energetic dysfunction that I understood. Was a disorder, which simply meant there wasn't harmony energetically on some level, whether that is physically, mentally, emotionally, or in spirit, which directly ties into your purpose, directly ties into your soul growth, and the overarching course of your life. And as a social worker, we did countless assessments. I used countless personality tools, and I never found them to be as comprehensive as I really wanted them to be. And then one thing that started really happening for me, and the reason that I got so into the actual historical, symbolic study of energy, it was through noticing the changes in the moon cycles, through noticing what would happen with my clients. Every full moon, there was a crescendo of crisis phone calls that would come in. It was no doubt that my workload would just explode. And if you happen to know any nurses or doctors who have ever had any emergency room experience, they can confirm the same thing for you. Anybody in a helping professional probably could confirm this same thing. And so it began to be a joke for me, like a running joke with my coworkers, where we would joke that we knew it was a full moon without actually going and looking outside to see, in fact, that it was a full moon based on the phone calls that we would get. And that was all we would need to begin to understand. So I started to recognize the patterns of energy and how that did have an effect. And I got curious, and I began to study more work to do with reprogramming your neuropathways. And I began to study meditation, and I began to really dive deeply into further exploration of the chakras. And I have come back with a wealth of information that I'd like to share with you. So stay tuned, and thanks for watching.